Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new episode of Flesh Wound Farce, where we review and discuss your and our favorite comedy films. This is the world's first and only combination trivia host and professional wrestling announcer of Chilean descent that currently resides in Southern California, Ozzy V. And with me, as always, on this program, first in the Northern California Bay Area, world's famous juggler, Greg Larson. How you doing, Greg?
Things are great, man. Let me just tell you, I'm sorry to hijack this moment real quick.
Are you gonna
but I
say
just
like is it late April Fools? You're gonna say you're expecting and be like April Fools 2024.
who would do that? Like that is not something to joke about.
Mhm.
But I have watched one of the most hilarious shows, and it's a public service announcement for me to share it because we reviewed the series of History of the World, and it was good. But this show is history and humor, and I've not laughed this hard in a long time. Kunk on Earth. It's on Netflix. Check it out. It's hilarious. It's dry British humor with like history to it, and I can't recommend it enough. But I just had to get that out there since this is a comedy show. But how are you doing, Ozzy?
I'm well, and I will have some news to share in case some aren't aware. More on that in due time. Also with us, Flesh Room producer Todd. Todd, how are you?
See, I was waiting for Greg to announce he's no longer sporting jerseys because I'm like really thrown off right now.
Wow,
No.
that would be something.
I did
ladies
just
and
order a
gentlemen,
Mario jersey, so
Okay.
we're good. We're good.
Did you figure out what last name you put on it as the? Did you put Pratt?
I did not go with Pratt. I haven't quite figured it out. I talked to them. They said, you can figure it out. You got a little time. So I'm still debating between Hoskins and just Mario. I think.
Well, then you got to go Mario for the original film.
See, that's what if it's Hoskins or Mario, that's the area you're referencing. Unless you want to do just Miyamoto, as creator of it, as one.
Very
option.
fair. Very fair. Yeah, I mean, we could even do Lou if we really want to, but
Albano.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
That's a good one.
Fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are reviewing and discussing the Stone Age, but there is one slight kind of detour I want to take that actually just came to mind. We are filming this today on April 9th. Last week, I had the pleasure of attending WrestleMania, and there was a moment. I'm not going to get into too much detail. It was fun to be there.
I get it. For me, it's like a nightmare. I don't even want to imagine.
So there was a moment I had a double Tito's and tonic. It was fantastic. There's a point when we went to go up to get food, right? And they had a station with food where you could either get these pork tacos, chicken sandwich, or a hot dog, right? And everybody's waiting for these pork tacos or these chicken sandwiches. And there's a dude who's at the hot dog station, like in this table is at the far end, the hot dogs. And he says, no lines for hot dogs, but I could barely hear him and I'm right there. So I've had a little bit to drink and I just turned to the back of the line. Hey, no line for hot dogs. And I was with my friend's wife in line for the food and she's trying not to laugh. And I'm like, I helped them out. And like, I look at the dude like, do you want to yell? Or are you okay with me yelling? And they're like, no, it's okay, right? Here's the kicker. And this is where it totally ends up like a TV show. By the time I get my tacos and they get to the point to pay, there was a dude who heard me at the back who came up and got like 3 hot dogs.
There we
and
go.
He kind of like cut in me to pay before. And it's like, I told you there was no line. You wouldn't even let me go in front of you to pay. Dude, so that was the story I had to share.
Quick question on that.
Yes.
Is a pork taco or is a hot dog also a pork taco in a way?
I don't want to get into that discussion because hot dogs are disgusting and I don't want to associate them with tacos.
You have enjoyed a Casper dog, sir.
Okay, listen, if I have to go to one city out of everywhere to enjoy an item, I think it's safe to say it's not generally enjoyable.
For sure. That's how I am with guacamole. Have to go to a place in Mexico that makes amazing guac.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to fall into that trap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are reviewing and discussing the Stoned Age in celebration of April 20th. This Thursday it was released on February 11th, 1994 with a runtime of 90 minutes, rated R. Todd, do you have a trailer available?
I do.
Excellent.
Every Saturday night, all they do is the same old thing.
So you got a plan tonight or what?
I got a radically hellacious plan. Fit the jack just to take the edge off. Get those chicks all horn dogged out.
What chicks?
Hanging with the buds.
Check it out, man. Tackmeister, hang a loogie on it. Hey, man, I got some chicks!
Searching for a party.
What's the ratio here, man? It's like 35 to 3 out here.
Staying out of trouble.
Are you gonna boogie with the foxes tonight? Now, if you wanna get these chicks in the mood, shake it, man. I need some ID.
Looking for some chicks.
Let's party.
But tonight, they're about to face their greatest challenge.
She's so cherry, man. It hurts. Man, I'm gonna scorch my shorts. Man, we got chicks!
Yeah, you guys better not be here when he gets back.
Come here, my chicks!
Are those, real booby shots? Let's go.
No, she ain't even naked. Oh, Sam, you kicked his ass.
They're like a pack of wild dogs. They're probably out there right now playing in the ice tray.
Don't be so paranoid. They're not that lame.
Attention, hooligans. Assume the prone position.
The hell are you doing with my daughter? Man, these are our chicks. You come here, you think the chick's gonna go for it because you got some Ox 45? These are talls, man.
The Stoned Age.
Hey, so where's your friend?
What? You guys want to take a number?
She's hot for me, man. Yeah, then you woke up.
That was The Stoned Age, again released on February 11th, 1994 with a runtime of 90 minutes. Rated R, written by James Melkonian and Rich Wilkes, directed by James Melkonian, starring Michael Coppola and Bradford Tatum, and that was also China Catner. What I found really interesting, initial thoughts, I'd never heard of this movie. Todd had suggested it because we were looking for a film to review for the holiday, for lack of a better term. And this was one Todd had suggested. So, Todd, initial thoughts on The Stoned Age?
It's one I hadn't actually watched in quite a few years, probably since the 90s, maybe one other time. I remember liking it. I remember the talls. And yeah, I still have a good time from it. It came out at the same time as Dazed and Confused, which obviously overshadowed it. And this is a lower budget flick. But it's a 90s film set in the 70s, which was a thing for a minute. But I think it's just a good time.
I'm actually surprised you didn't pull out, an Ox tall can.
Well, oddly enough, no. I could see him and it's not even opened.
Right.
I'm on the hunt.
Yeah, this same thing as Ozzy. I hadn't heard of this. And this film actually had a moment for me in which I had to start the film over again at one point because I needed to find out some very important information restarting, because there's an opening line that says honor, glory, and fine chicks. And then a few moments in, you hear the word chicks quite a lot. And so I tallied how many times the word chicks was said in this film. And the first 15 minutes of this film has an abundance of chicks at an approximate 2.3 mentions of chicks per minute. So you had 35 mentions of chicks, and throughout the whole movie, it then tapers down. You finish off with only 61. But that 15 minutes was very chick heavy.
Well, yeah, because once they're there, they were referring to them as dude or man.
Right.
So we're referring to them as hey, you chick.
Right.
But so yeah, I was worried about this at first. I saw the trailer, was worried. However, what I did appreciate was just it didn't mess up a simple like formula of just a story where
Mhm.
it opens up with this hitchhiker, and I just laughed with the dude yelling at a truck and a dude stopping and apologizing. You're lucky you picked me up. So okay, you're starting off pretty good, pretty strong there, but I appreciated that it had this kind of prologue, and it had a story set up, and then you saw the title and the opening credits and all that. So I it was very simple, so it's easy to get into. It's almost like they knew what people were expecting after seeing the trailer. So it's like, okay, don't worry, there's some funny, just stick with it. What I actually find interesting is, I mean, this came out in 94, so Beavis and Butthead was still fairly new, but that opening could have, because you had a opening monologue as well, written by a voiceover, performed by a voiceover, and that could have been said at the beginning of a Beavis and Butthead episode. It felt like that same kind of deal. So once you knew you were in a ride that you're hanging out with a pair of antiheroes the rest of the night, it's a lot easier to digest, so to speak. One thing that I found amusing is hearing one of their conversations, because they mentioned they were driving around. I actually can't recall if it's listed or they mentioned that they were driving around in Torrance, right? So just got, okay, so this is taking place in the South Bay area, and then when they find the three girls, find out what's going on, and then they say PV. I'm thinking, like, are they talking about? And when oh, you don't want to hang out with those rich Palo Verdes kids, like that just made me pop.
Yeah, it was a local movie, so I get
That's
that.
The thing. That's the thing I did want to say. If you are from the South Bay area, I highly recommend it. And Greg, I know that you're gonna have to back me up on this. The guy wearing the sweatshirt, which I found hilarious. There's a fat guy wearing a no fat chicks hoodie. He's got curly hair with a backwards hat.
Is that the one who looked like Disco Inferno? There's one dude I couldn't stop. Looked exactly like Disco Inferno.
I believe so, but I mean, to Greg, I just had a hard time not seeing our former roommate every time I saw him pop on the screen. He looked exactly, and the fact that our roommate is also from Torrance also that was an added bonus there. So Greg, I don't know if that automatically hit you. Just add the beard, right?
Right, I think that's what it was. It's definitely missing the beard. So, yes, but now that you say it, I'm never going to watch this film the same. So, yeah.
So, getting into the favorite moments, for me, it kind of felt like, I know we talk about a lot of movies being front loaded with all the funny moments, but this kind of felt like the middle, where it kind of had most of the story advance, and then it was kind of at the beginning and the ending where you found its funniest moments. For me, it was towards the end, but that could have been just because a lot of stuff were building up to that moment in particular. But Todd, how about a favorite moment?
All right, well, that was not really a moment, so I'll just do this one. I love the payoff for the drink and the piss cubes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
You knew that was going to happen.
Well, and even the setup to continue with that, where there's a moment where the guy gets beat up, and she goes, "Do you want some ice for that?" And he's like, "No, no."
Just as a reminder to the audience, hey, it's still there. Don't forget.
Yeah. Right.
Would that serve as your favorite moment of the film?
I mean, it's definitely up there. I think I just got a nice chuckle to, like I've said before, sometimes the way a movie kind of is early on and sets up for what the humor is going to be, I really appreciate. And there's a moment where they bring up the schnapps bottle, and they're like, "We got the schnapps," and he like flicks it, and there's this super cheesy ding to it, and I was like, okay, we're in for some ridiculousness. This is great. So like, I really appreciate setting the tone with that moment.
For me personally, I mean, isn't really giving much away, but towards the beginning, a scene plays "Don't Fear the Reaper," and one character calls it a pussy song, and the other argues, "No, it's not." And then at the end of the film, the other person who's in the passenger seat is now driving. The song's on the radio, and there's not even a word exchanged. But the guy who was driving in the beginning, who's now in the passenger seat, just looks over. The driver looks at him, almost like, "Don't," and then he just kind of backs down. And I love the nonverbal, like, that you got to work to get that to happen, and it hit pretty hard, especially since it was set up at the beginning. I do feel that at its time, it probably hit a lot harder. Obviously, and I think it's really reminded me of a variation of Superbad.
I see that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, we got to get this.
I think you got it backwards.
Well, I mean, sure.
You're the first one to call that out, Ozzy.
No, stop it. What I'm meaning to say is I can easily see Superbad being influenced by this movie.
Yeah, it's a very, easy template that's been used quite a few times, and it works. So nothing new in this, I don't think, but the ride is worth it, and it is fun. I will say the one other moment that just made me lose it, but I wouldn't call it the funniest bit. It just, I don't know, maybe it is. When they hit the pothole and no one's wearing seatbelts like you would in 74,
right?
And they all hit the top. Yeah.
There was also a moment that I was simultaneously disgusted by and laughed at, because there's an intimate moment in which one of the girls takes off her bikini, and her lower half she then takes and throws off, and it lands on a squeaky penguin, and it makes a noise. Now, the noise, funny. Wondering why those are so heavy, disturbing. That it would actually create the noise. So a mixed bag there.
Well, don't you know, Greg? It's the iron bikini. It's Kevlar, actually. Bulletproof, just in case anybody, So, well, it wasn't a huge laugh out loud moment for me continuously. I was still entertained enough and wanted to see where the story goes. Wasn't bad, but wasn't the best. I'd put it at a 3.
I think that's fair. One of the things that kind of got me was the guy who was supposed to be the big bad guy. The guy who was angry. He don't take his chicks. Yes. Just looked like an angry Paul Rudd to me. So it was a little weird for me at the moment.
That's actually where Paul Rudd drew inspiration for Andy.
Right. So it was enjoyable. Like you said, not great. Also, shout out the nicknames for the police officer. Fantastic. Those bits were awesome as well.
Yeah.
So it did have a few great chuckles. Was it amazing? No. Was I happy to go through it? Yes. So I'm with you on a 3.
Todd?
I'm a little higher. I have nostalgia on this one.
I bet you are.
But I'm a 4. 0.20. Can I do that?
Oh,
but also, we got to mention he was in the trailer. Taylor
Negron,
yeah. Always great to see him. R.I.P.
So this, as of April 9th, is available to stream on Roku with ads, Vudu with ads, Tubi, Pluto, and Freevee as well, all with ads, of course, available for rent or purchase digitally. I don't think you're going to find if you find this on DVD, chances are it's going to be in a bargain bin.
It's long out of print. You're going to probably have to drop a few dollars.
Like 2?
No, well, this is when something goes out of print and you can no longer buy it.
I understand.
Price increases.
I understand, but
I'm actually looking up what the price is going for now.
Okay.
That's why I love Skeletons selling for like $75.
Can we not? Right, let's not. Okay. I actually wanted to bring up some good news. I wanted to bring up some good news.
Oh no, you can get it for a nice $10.
A nice $10.
Like it's back in print. So
if you have any mean $10, keep those in your wallet. You have any Alexander Hamiltons that yell at you, make fun of you,
use those for
insult
digital.
You, save those.
But if you have the Hamiltons that rap, you're good.
Those are the ones that are worth more.
As long as it's not a Dan Aykroyd or a Tom Hanks.
Right. So a nice $10 available. Now, a bit of good news that I did want to share. I did mention earlier that the beginning of this opening narration could have served for Beavis and Butthead. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is because this Thursday on April 20th, new episodes of Beavis and Butthead are hitting Paramount Plus. So definitely a reason to celebrate. And I'll tell you this, if you can handle even more stupid at night, I'll be hosting trivia that night at the Honey Pot Meadery beginning at 7:30 this Thursday, April 20th. And no, I'm not getting any holiday pay. So it is what it is. So I have a question for you guys before we end out for this episode. Has there ever been a moment when you have been, as a teenager, caught by the police and lied to them about something?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing your story?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I was driving down to Disneyland, and while I was living in Northern California at the time, I was actually in Anaheim, and my tags were expired. And
registration tags.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And so they pull me over, and he's writing me up, and I was like, crap, I've got a bong in here and quite a bit of pot. And so I'm like, what do I do? And he comes by, and I'm like, I start the sob story. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, my mom's going to kill me. I should have registered my car. I apologize. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I know you're just doing your job, just trying to be like, I understand you're doing your thing, but I'm freaking out because my parents are going to kill me. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to have to say, just go get someone else to drive your car. Do you have someone who could pick up your car? Yes, of course, sir. And he goes, wait a second. Do you have any pot on you? I was like, oh, no, like I would never like, sorry, but thank you.
Johnny?
Yeah. No, sorry, sir. It's not my cup of tea. And he's like, okay. Cause I think he smelled something, but I was by an apartment complex or a hotel area in a not great part of Anaheim. So I think it helped my case. And yeah, he was like, well, just get someone to pick you up. And I was like, yes, sir, I will. And that was that. And he let me go.
I got a question.
Yeah.
The expiration or the registration.
Yeah.
What was it at the time, and when did it expire?
It had probably been like 2 months expired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's because there's actually a law in California, and little bonus tip that you have up until the first of the month so you should have like at least 5 weeks or something like that. So like my expires like July 13th or whatever. Yeah. I'd have up until September 1st to get it renewed. So if it was 2 months afterward, that's after the.
Yeah. No, it was definitely well expired. Yeah. But I didn't save well, and I spent my money going to Disneyland instead of, paying my tax. And, buying pot.
Todd? And this was probably 15 years ago at this point.
Yes. Yeah. It was. Yeah. God, that's horrible to think of. Yeah. It was probably like 15, 16 years ago.
Todd?
I'm trying to think of one I could tell. That's like not too bad. Like lying to them, running from them. I mean, what do you want?
I don't know. Any fun?
I'm trying to think of any fun ones. I mean, my Disneyland one's fun, but it's not cops. It's Disney security.
Let's go for it.
I think I might have told it before, but yes. When I've told my getting caught drinking alcohol one.
You have?
Have I not? Okay, then that's a good one. It's a little off, but okay. So yes, we were all at Disneyland for the fun. Back in those days, they had the hand stamps. That's the whole thing. But so we were all going to go to Disneyland, all ready to go. We're in the parking lot. Some asshole might have got out of the car and took one last drink of his alcoholic beverage before, and then all of the Disney Secret Service swoops in. Like, okay, this is 1993. It was 3 days before my 18th birthday. So, of course, yes. And again, 90s, I have my marijuana leaf tat. So,
Yeah.
but and like bottles of Mad Dog and Old English in the car. But okay, so here's the funny part.
Were they talls?
No, they were not. I was a 40 guy. My buddy, and I won't say his name, was standing across from me. At this time, I wasn't a big, pot smoker. Every once in a while, I'd smoke it. I never bought it. Whoever had it, I'd smoke it. But my buddy had it, and had a nice sack on him. So I'm sitting in the Disney security. Yeah, I hear it now. a nice sack.
You had a friend with a nice sack. We get it.
I could have said a fat sack, and it would have been just as bad. And okay, yeah, you
Disney
threw me off
security.
of it. So I was sitting in the van, like, cause they already threw me up in that thing, and then I'm sitting there and I'm watching my buddy, and they're like doing the searching, and he puts his arms up, and I just watch out of his shorts like the bag of weed like hit the ground. I'm just sitting there like, oh man. And then they come back to me and they're trying to tell me it's mine because of my hats. You saw it fall out of his pants.
Yeah, well, you're advertising it, so you got to be the one that did it. Okay.
And yeah, then they took us back to the Disney jail because I kept telling them I was 18. I just left my wallet at home. But I was 3 days from 17. So, and my mom was out of town, so they threw me in that Disney jail with Goofy on the bars.
So 4th of July, there's a beach we were all at, and there's an area around the beach, and I was with another kid that was also at the beach as well, and we had these water balloons, right? And we found this place that had this giant hedge, the sidewalk on the other end, so we were like launching water balloons over the hedge onto people on the sidewalk, right? And then all of a sudden, a cop shows up. The other kid literally like friggin' like Barry Allen, like the Flash, bolts out of there. He was just gone. I had no idea what happened. And he's like, hey, you got any water balloons? I don't see anything. I think I like lost something here, like my keys or something. I didn't say my keys. I think I just said I was looking for something. He's like, all right, well, hope you're not throwing water balloons over the hedge. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. So I had like a kinship with, he's like, no, officer, we would never do that. Yeah, we've all been there. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that was The Stoned Age. Again, I mentioned you can also check out justwatch.com for updated ways to catch this movie, and we'll be back next week with a new episode. And of course, don't forget about this Thursday new episode or season rather of Beavis and Butthead on Paramount Plus. Not something we're going to be reviewing, but just as a public service announcement to check out.
And new Broken Lizard movie, right?
Which we will be talking about after, because I just thought of that.
Alrighty then. Stay tuned for some more information on that. But we'll be back next week at the new episode for Flesh Wound Farce. And that is world famous juggler Greg Larson and Flesh Wound producer Todd. And I'm Onzie V, and we'll see you next week right here on Flesh Wound Farce.